He taught about Deathworld beasts, then the human cadet revealed she was one of them. Professor Alan Brooks walked into the lecture hall, his boots echoing softly on the metal floor. The room was large, designed to hold hundreds of cadets from across the galaxy. Alien forms of all shapes and sizes filled the seats. Some had 6 arms, some had skin that shimmered like water, some had eyes on the sides of their heads. They all looked curious, anxious, and a little bored. Alan smiled. He had taught this class many times before. Today, he would speak about the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy, the Deathworld beasts. He adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat. Today, we will discuss Deathworld beasts. These are the species that live in worlds so harsh that only the strongest can survive. You will see why humans are considered weak in comparison. A few cadets laughed quietly. A student with orange scales whispered to his neighbor. Alan ignored it. He turned to the large screen behind him. Images of massive creatures appeared. One had thick armor plates, taller than a spaceship in length. Another had tentacles that could crush a small transport ship. Alan spoke slowly and clearly, describing each creature. The Grathek of Xylon 9 can crush steel with its jaws. Its skin resists every known laser and plasma weapon. Few species can survive an encounter with it. A cadet with 4 eyes named Koro snorted. No sentient species could fight that. Only animals live there. The cadets around him chuckled. Alan did not argue. He wanted them to understand the danger first. At the back of the hall, a human cadet sat quietly. Her name was Lisa Morris. She was young, with short brown hair and sharp eyes that did not miss anything. Unlike other humans, she did not look nervous. Most of the alien cadets assumed humans were weak. They were small, soft, and mostly fragile. But Lisa had grown up differently. She had lived on a death world herself, though no one in the hall knew this. Alan continued, showing images of creatures that lived in extreme environments. The tenebrous stalkers live in darkness and survive with little oxygen. The Draxer lives in acid rivers and can digest metal. The planet itself is toxic, but the creature thrives there. No human could survive for even an hour. Lisa's hands rested on the table. She did not take notes like the others. She already knew much of this. Her world had its own beasts, more dangerous than anything shown. Some cadets were whispering behind her. They talked about how humans had survived only because they lived in peaceful planets or with technology. Few guessed the truth. Alan paused. He let the cadets study the images for a moment. Humans, for example, are clever. They can build weapons, armor, and machines. But on a true death world, they would die quickly. They have soft skin, weak bones, and small muscles. No natural predator fear factor. They rely on teamwork and tools. Koro laughed loudly, leaning back in his chair. Even if humans tried, they would last minutes. They are not adapted for danger. They do not belong here among the tough species of the galaxy. Lisa did not react. Her eyes narrowed slightly, but she stayed silent. Her silence seemed to irritate Koro. He leaned forward and said, "I want to see a human fight a real Deathworld beast. Then we will see if they are worth anything." The cadets around him whispered excitedly. Some agreed, some laughed. Alan frowned. He did not encourage this, but he also knew the lesson needed to be understood. The galaxy had dangerous places, and only those who understood true survival could lead. Alan moved to a different slide. It showed a map of planets with extreme conditions. These worlds are called death worlds. Gravity far stronger than standard air filled with poisons, storms that can shred metal. On these worlds, life adapts in ways we can barely imagine. Creatures become hunters, and the environment itself becomes a weapon. One alien student raised a tentacle. "Professor Brooks, are there any humans that could survive such worlds without technology?" Alan shook his head. No known human could survive. They need breathing devices, protective armor, and weapons. Humans are clever, but their bodies are weak. Their strength is in numbers and intelligence, not in endurance. Lisa's lips pressed together. She remembered her own childhood, growing on a world where the gravity was twice that of Earth. The air was thin, and the predators were relentless. Every day had been a test. She had learned to move quietly, to strike fast, and to survive in conditions worse than anything Alan showed on the screen. The class moved on to examples of alien species that survived the harshest planets. Some had shells stronger than steel. Some could survive without food for months. Some could resist acid, radiation, or extreme cold. Alan spoke with pride, explaining how the galaxy's most dangerous planets shaped these creatures. Cadets gasped at images of the Raznar, a beast that could crush a starship hull. Its intelligence is low, but its instinct is perfect. It hunts with precision unmatched by most species. Even armies fear it, Alan explained. Coro leaned back. If humans faced that, they would scream and die. We would eat them first. The aliens around him laughed. Lisa's eyes flashed. She felt a quiet anger at the assumptions. Humans were more than soft creatures. They could endure more than most species thought possible. Alan noticed Lisa's gaze. He smiled politely. Humans are not meant to fight these beasts directly. They rely on weapons and planning. Their minds are their greatest survival tool. Lisa's mind raced. One day, she thought, they would see the truth. They would see that humans could survive, adapt, and even thrive where others would die. Not through machines, not through armor, but through the body and spirit. The lecture continued. Alan spoke of survival strategies, hunting techniques, and planetary hazards. He described how creatures adapted, evolved, and dominated Deathworlds. Cadets scribbled notes furiously, some whispering about impossible strength, some sketching the creatures. Lisa listened, storing every detail in her memory. When the lecture ended, Alan asked the cadets to prepare for a simulation next week. You will all face simulated death worlds. You will experience the environment, the predators, and the danger. It is a test of your knowledge, not of your species' ability to survive. Remember, humans are clever but fragile. Do not overestimate them. The cadets began to leave, talking loudly about the lecture. Coro lingered, looking at Lisa. I wonder what a human would do in a real death world. Probably scream and die. Lisa stood quietly. She looked at him and said nothing. Her silence spoke louder than any words could. Alan gathered his notes and left the hall, unaware that the human cadet he had dismissed quietly was not what she seemed. Lisa walked slowly, keeping her eyes on the floor. In her mind, she remembered hunting in the acid swamps of her home planet, dodging predators bigger than her, lifting heavy rocks to build shelters, enduring storms that would have killed anyone else. She remembered the harsh lessons of survival, the pain, the hunger, the fear, and the triumphs. She was not fragile. She was shaped by the galaxy's deadliest forces. As the hall emptied, a small group of cadets whispered about humans. Are they really that weak? One asked. Another shrugged. We were told so, but I would not want to test it. Lisa smiled slightly to herself. Soon they would know the truth. But for now, she let the lies continue. Let them laugh. Let them underestimate her. In the galaxy, underestimating humans was the first mistake any alien could make. The sun of the Academy's planet was setting outside. The sky was painted with red and orange. Lisa paused by the window. She remembered the twin suns of her home planet and the creatures that had stalked her when she was a child. Every scar on her body, every muscle, every reflex was a story of survival. She clenched her fists. One day, she would show the cadets what humans could do. One day, they would see the Deathworld beasts not as aliens, but as something a human could face and survive. For now, she walked quietly out of the hall. No one noticed her. No one suspected her. And that was exactly how she liked it. She was a human. But not the kind they expected. The next day, the cadets gathered in the training hall. The room was larger than the lecture hall, filled with holographic displays and simulation equipment. Alan Brooks stood at the center, adjusting a device that projected three-dimensional images of Deathworld terrains. The cadets filed in, excited and nervous. Some of the aliens carried weapons to practice with, while others simply observed. Lisa Morris walked quietly to the back, carrying only a small notebook and a calm expression. Alan began the session. Today, we will simulate encounters with Deathworld beasts. This is not a test of strength alone. It is a test of observation, strategy, and survival knowledge. Remember, most species are not prepared for these worlds. Humans rely on intelligence and planning rather than raw power. Let us see how theory matches practice. The holograms flickered and expanded into massive, moving environments. One showed a jungle filled with enormous insects, acid pools, and thick vines. Another displayed a desert where predators burrowed under sand, striking without warning. The last showed a frozen wasteland, where ice storms tore through the landscape and predators hunted in packs. Coro, the orange-scaled cadet, grinned at the displays. "This is perfect. Let's see who screams first. Humans, you can go first. Maybe you will survive 5 minutes." He laughed loudly, drawing a few amused glances. Lisa ignored him and observed silently. She already knew what to expect. Alan selected the first simulation, the jungle. "Enter your pods and prepare. Remember, observation first. Adapt second. Humans, follow my instructions carefully." He did not suspect that one human already had far more experience than the others could imagine. The cadets entered the pods. The simulations projected directly into their visual fields. The jungle appeared around them, dense, humid, and alive with strange sounds. The air smelled of chemicals and rot, though it was only a projection. Holographic predators moved through the trees. Some were massive, others small but deadly. Coro immediately reached for a weapon and charged forward. Other cadets followed hesitantly. Alan watched, noting their reactions. Humans were slower to act, often analyzing before moving. Lisa, however, stayed back, crouched, and studied the creatures. Her eyes moved quickly, noting patterns, behavior, and timing. She did not panic. She had seen worse. The predators struck first at Coro and the others. The simulation reacted realistically. Coro screamed as a massive claw slashed near his pod. He stumbled, panicked, and his weapon misfired. Other cadets scattered in fear. Lisa moved forward calmly, anticipating the predator's behavior. She crouched low, ducked under a snapping vine, and stepped over acid pools. Every movement was precise. One cadet asked, "How is she moving like that? She's a human." Others whispered. Alan watched, his brow furrowing. He had taught that humans were clever, but he had never seen one with such reflexes and confidence. Lisa reached a narrow path. A holographic predator lunged from above. She jumped, twisted in midair, and landed on the other side without touching the danger. Her heart raced, but only slightly. This was training, but her body reacted as if it were real. She knew how to move, how to survive, and how to strike if needed. The simulation adjusted automatically. The predators became more aggressive, faster, and more cunning. Coro screamed again as a tentacle wrapped around his pod. The simulation marked him as incapacitated. Lisa watched, studying the predator's motion, then moved deliberately. She noticed the weak points, the timing, the patterns. Alan realized something. The human was not panicking, not reacting like the others. She was predicting, not fearing. He had taught hundreds of cadets, including humans, but none had moved like this. She was extraordinary. Lisa reached the central area of the jungle simulation. Holographic predators circled her, their claws snapping, eyes glowing. She crouched low, breathing slowly, and began using the environment. She kicked small stones to distract the creatures, rolled behind fallen logs, and created space between herself and the predators. Every move was calculated. One of the alien cadets, watching from a distance, whispered, She's controlling them. How can a human do that?" Others nodded, shocked. Coro, humiliated, could not speak. His confidence from the day before was gone. Alan's voice came over the speakers. "Impressive, Lisa Morris. You have adapted faster than anyone else. Tell me, how are you analyzing the predators so quickly?" Lisa smiled slightly but did not speak immediately. She wanted them to understand later. She continued moving, her body reacting naturally. The predators lunged again. She rolled, dodged, and moved toward the exit. Every step was smooth, precise, and confident. The simulation ended. The jungle faded, replaced by the empty hall. Most cadets were shaken, some pale, and Coro was glaring at her. Alan was speechless. "That was remarkable," he said. "I have never seen a human handle a simulation like that. How did you do it?" Lisa shrugged casually. "I just observed, calculated, and acted. That is what survival requires." Her voice was calm, but there was a subtle edge that made the cadets uneasy. Coro laughed nervously. "It's just a simulation. Anyone could have been lucky." Lisa turned to him slowly. "Luck does not help when the predator is real. You do not survive by panicking. You survive by knowing your environment and understanding your opponent." Alan nodded slowly. He had expected humans to need help, to make mistakes, to fail. But Lisa had not only survived, she had dominated the simulation. He began to wonder if his previous lessons had underestimated them. The cadets were moved to the desert simulation next. The temperature rose, holographic winds howled, and the sand shifted underfoot. Predators burrowed beneath the surface, striking without warning. Most cadets hesitated, unsure of when to move. Lisa advanced cautiously, observing every motion of the creatures. She felt for vibrations, noticed slight changes in the sand, and adjusted her steps. A burrowing predator leapt at another cadet. They screamed and fell, marked as incapacitated by the simulation. Lisa did not flinch. She stepped lightly, used the shadows of sand dunes to hide her movements, and avoided the attacks. She was learning, adapting, and moving faster than the program expected. Some alien cadets began to murmur. "She's not weak. She's not human as we know humans." Coro's expression turned from mockery to fear. He could not understand how a human could move with such precision, patience, and confidence. Alan finally spoke again. "Lisa, your actions are exceptional. You are demonstrating instincts and reactions beyond what I expected. Tell me, have you had experience with real predators?" Lisa hesitated, then smiled faintly. "I have, on my home planet. I grew up where survival was necessary every day. I have learned to adapt and overcome. That is why I move this way." The hall grew silent. Alan's eyes widened. He realized the truth. His lesson, meant to show humans as weak and fragile, was incomplete. He had assumed humans had never faced true Deathworld conditions. But Lisa had. She had survived what no cadet here had ever faced. The final simulation was the frozen wasteland. Ice storms howled, visibility dropped, and predators hunted in packs. Most cadets panicked before they even started. Lisa adjusted her jacket, focused on the terrain, and moved carefully. She felt the cold, anticipated the attacks, and relied on her instincts. Holographic predators approached. Lisa dodged their strikes, moved behind ice ridges, and used the environment to her advantage. One predator lunged from above and she ducked, rolling to the side. Another predator came from behind and she pivoted, using her legs to push it back. By the time the simulation ended, Lisa was calm. Most cadets were exhausted and shaken. Coro sat frozen, staring at her. Alan's expression was a mix of awe and disbelief. "This is beyond anything I expected. Lisa, you have shown every cadet here what it means to survive a death world. You are not just clever, you are prepared, trained, and capable beyond normal human standards." Lisa nodded quietly. She did not boast. She did not need to. Her actions spoke for her. The cadets filed out of the hall slowly, talking in hushed tones. Many whispered about how humans could possibly survive the trials. Coro followed, his head low, his confidence shattered. He could not face her directly, and he did not understand how a human could move with such skill, knowledge, and calm. Alan stayed behind, reviewing the simulation logs. He realized that his teachings about humans were incomplete. He had underestimated them, as many others had. And this single cadet had already proven that humans could survive environments designed to destroy other species. Lisa lingered at the exit for a moment, looking at the hall one last time. She remembered the creatures, the dangers, and the lessons she had learned on her home planet. She knew that today was only the beginning. They still did not understand what humans were capable of. They laughed at humans, underestimated them, and assumed they were weak. Someday they would learn the truth, and it would be a lesson they would never forget. With a calm step, she left the training hall. The alien cadets stared after her, unsure whether to fear or respect her. Alan followed slowly, deep in thought. He knew he had been wrong. Humans were more than clever, they were survivors. And Lisa Morris was living proof of that. The day after the simulations, the cadets returned to the lecture hall. The air was thick with whispers. Even before Professor Alan Brooks spoke, the room buzzed with curiosity and doubt. Many cadets could not stop thinking about Lisa Morris and how she had moved through the Deathworld simulations. Her calm, precise, and fearless behavior had unsettled them. Coro sat in the front row, frowning, clearly humiliated from the previous day. Alan began the lesson, trying to maintain authority. Today, we will discuss adaptation strategies for Deathworlds. I want you to think beyond what you saw in the simulations. Consider anatomy, environment, and instincts. Observe patterns and predict behaviors. Remember, survival is the ultimate test of a species. Several alien cadets whispered to each other, glancing at Lisa. One small blue-skinned cadet asked quietly, "Is it true that humans can survive what we saw yesterday?" Another replied, "I do not know." But she moved like she was born for it. Alan continued, showing images of predators and habitats, explaining hunting strategies and territorial behaviors. He described the dangers in detail: venomous spines, acid spits, crushing jaws, and ambush techniques. Cadets listened intently. Most of them still assumed humans could not handle such threats without technology. They were wrong, though they did not realize it yet. Lisa took notes carefully, not rushing, not panicking. Her mind worked quickly, comparing what Alan said with her memories of her home planet. Every lesson felt familiar, almost like a reminder rather than new knowledge. Her world had been harsher than anything Alan showed in the lectures. Every day had been a fight to survive. Every predator, every storm, every hunger had taught her to observe, adapt, and act. Alan decided to test the cadets further. "I want each of you to describe how a species could adapt to a real death world. Think about strength, speed, senses, and instincts. Humans are clever but fragile. How would you adapt them to survive?" Cadets began raising their hands. Coro smirked, assuming he would dominate the discussion. "Simple," he said. "Humans would need machines, armor, weapons, breathing devices. Without them, they die. They are not meant for danger." A few cadets nodded, murmuring agreement. Alan paused and looked at Coro. "That is one way, yes, but intelligence is only part of survival. Instinct, reflexes, and adaptation are equally important. Anyone else?" Lisa raised her hand quietly. Alan hesitated. She had not spoken much in class before except to answer technical questions. Her calmness made the room tense. Alan nodded for her to speak. Lisa stood. Her voice was steady and soft. "Humans can survive more than you think. They can adapt to extreme gravity, toxic air, dangerous predators, and harsh climates. They rely on observation, calculation, and teamwork. They are strong in ways you do not see at first." The room went silent. Alien cadets exchanged looks. Coro frowned. "How can you say that?" "Humans are small, weak, soft. They have nothing to fight with in the wild." Lisa did not hesitate. "You underestimate humans because you do not understand their limits. We can endure pain, fatigue, hunger, and danger that would kill most species. Our bodies adjust. Our minds adapt. We survive where others fail. You think machines make us strong, but our strength is natural. It is in our bodies, our reflexes, and our instincts. It is in what we have learned to live through. Alan felt a chill run down his spine. He had taught this lesson for decades, and he had always assumed humans were fragile without technology. This cadet was proving otherwise. The students murmured again. The room buzzed with disbelief, excitement, and fear. Koro stepped forward, trying to challenge her. Words are easy. Show me. Show us a human surviving a real death world without any help. I will laugh if you fail. Lisa smiled faintly. I do not need to prove it to you now. One day you will see. You will see what humans can survive and what we can endure. And it will be more than you expect. The cadets whispered. Some were impressed. Some were skeptical. Koro's face turned red with anger and embarrassment. Alan watched closely, realizing that Lisa was not only clever, she was confident, and her confidence came from real experience. She had survived conditions that no other cadet could imagine. Alan decided to push further. All right, we will have another practical exercise. But this time, I want each of you to describe strategies for adaptation before entering the simulation. I want to hear your plans. The cadets began discussing strategies. Koro suggested brute force, heavy weapons, and speed. Other cadets suggested camouflage tools or group tactics. Lisa spoke last. We must first understand the environment and the predators, she said. We watch, listen, and observe. Then we move slowly and carefully. We adapt our body to the terrain. We use instincts and intelligence together. We do not rush. We do not panic. We survive by knowing the world and respecting it. Then when danger comes, we act with precision and speed. That is how humans survive. The hall was silent. Even Koro did not respond. He could not argue. Her words carried authority because they came from experience. Alan's mind raced. This cadet had lived in conditions far harsher than anything shown in the academy. Her body, her instincts, her calm confidence, they all came from real Deathworld survival. Alan realized he had made a mistake. Humans were not fragile observers. Some of them were shaped by survival in the galaxy's harshest worlds. Lisa Morris was one of them. She was living proof. He cleared his throat. Lisa, your perspective is valuable. It is clear you understand survival in ways most cadets do not. Tell me, have you faced real predators? Lisa paused. She did not need to lie. Yes, she said simply. On my home planet, I learned to survive from a very young age. I have faced predators, storms, hunger, and danger every day. I have learned to observe, to adapt, and to act. That is why I can survive in the simulations better than most cadets here. A wave of shock passed through the room. Alien cadets whispered urgently. Some stared at her in disbelief. Koro could not hide his shock. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He realized he had underestimated her. Alan felt a mix of fear and awe. He had taught about death worlds, about creatures that would kill almost any species, about humans as weak observers. But this cadet had experienced everything firsthand. She had survived real conditions, and she had moved through simulations with the skill of a seasoned predator. Lisa continued. The simulations are only lessons. Real survival is harder, but humans are not weak. We are resilient. We endure. We adapt. That is why, even on a true death world, we can survive. We are not fragile observers. We are survivors. The room grew quiet. Cadets exchanged glances. Some began to rethink everything they had assumed about humans. Koro looked down, fuming, embarrassed, and unsure of how to respond. Alan nodded slowly. This is an important lesson. Humans cannot be judged only by size or appearance. Some have survived extreme worlds. They carry knowledge, instinct, and strength beyond what most species can imagine. Lisa Morris has proven that humans can survive in ways we did not understand. Take note, cadets. Underestimating a species is the first step toward disaster. Lisa nodded quietly. She did not gloat. She had no need to. Her actions had already spoken louder than words. But inside, she knew the moment was coming when the cadets and instructors would see just how extraordinary humans could be. The class ended, but the discussion did not stop. In the hallways, cadets whispered about the human who had survived simulations perfectly. They debated how a human could move like that, how she could remain calm in danger, and how she seemed to predict predators' movements. Caro, still fuming, muttered under his breath, "It's just a simulation. She had luck, nothing more." But even he could not deny the skill, precision, and calm she had displayed. Lisa walked through the hall quietly, observing the reactions. She did not need to say more. They would begin to understand soon enough. For now, she let them speculate, let them wonder, let them underestimate humans one last time. Outside, the academy sun shone brightly. Lisa paused, thinking of her home planet, of the lessons she had learned, of the creatures that had hunted her, and of the survival skills she had honed. She smiled slightly. One day they would see the full truth. One day humans would not just survive, they would dominate. Alan watched her from the side, still processing what he had seen. He realized that humans were far more capable than he had ever taught. The cadets, the simulations, even the most dangerous Deathworlds, they would all be learning lessons from this single human cadet. Lisa continued walking, quiet, calm, and confident. She was ready for the next challenge, the next simulation, the next encounter. She was a human, yes, but not the kind anyone expected. She was a survivor, shaped by the galaxy's deadliest lessons, and soon she would reveal just how far her strength could go. The whispers of cadets followed her as she left the hall. They would talk about her for days. They would question their assumptions about humans. They would wonder how a single human could move through Deathworlds with such skill. And Lisa Morris, the quiet human cadet, knew the real lesson was only beginning. The next training session was different. Alan Brooks had planned another series of simulations, but today, he also wanted cadets to demonstrate their survival strategies. The hall was buzzing with anticipation. Alien cadets whispered nervously, still talking about Lisa Morris and how she had dominated the previous exercises. Coro sat in the front, frowning, trying to hide his embarrassment. He had expected to impress everyone yesterday, but instead, he had watched a human cadet outmaneuver every predator in the simulations. Alan began. "Today, we will push your understanding further. You will not only describe strategies but also demonstrate them in real-time simulation exercises. Observe carefully, plan carefully, and adapt. Humans, you must follow the same rules. Remember, intelligence alone is not enough. Survival requires instinct, speed, and endurance." Lisa sat quietly at the back. She knew the aliens doubted humans. They thought she was clever, maybe lucky, but they did not understand. She had lived on a death world. She had faced predators that would have torn even the largest alien cadet apart. She had survived hunger, storms, toxic air, and gravity that would have crushed most species. Today, she would show them more than cleverness. The first simulation activated. The room transformed into a dense forest, larger and more dangerous than any before. The air was humid and thick. The holographic predators were aggressive, faster, and more intelligent than the last session. Cadets moved cautiously, some panicking immediately. Coro charged forward with weapons ready, hoping to show dominance. Lisa stepped carefully, observing the movement of the predators. She noted their speed, their patterns, the way they used the environment. She did not panic. Her body reacted naturally. She crouched low, dodged snapping branches, and rolled over fallen logs. Every move was precise, calculated, and smooth. Alan observed, amazed. Once again, Lisa Morris demonstrates instincts and reactions far beyond normal humans. Note how she anticipates danger and uses her surroundings. A predator lunged at another cadet, who screamed and fell. The simulation marked him incapacitated. Lisa anticipated a similar attack moments later. She sidestepped, used her legs to push the creature off balance, and ran along the path she had already scouted mentally. She moved like she belonged in the wild, not a classroom simulation. Some alien cadets whispered nervously. "She's controlling them," said one. Another replied, "It's impossible. She's just human." Koro's face was red with anger and fear. He could not understand how a human could move with such calm confidence in the face of simulated Deathworld predators. Alan decided to push further. "Now, cadets, the simulation will increase in intensity. Predators will become faster, more aggressive, and unpredictable. Observe how each of you responds. Intelligence alone will not be enough. Survival is key." The predators attacked in waves. Cadets screamed, ducked, and panicked. Koro fired weapons wildly, missing targets and tripping over terrain. Lisa moved calmly, predicting movements, adjusting her steps, and using obstacles to block attacks. She dodged a predator that leaped from above, rolled under a fallen tree, and countered with a precise push that destabilized it. Alan's mind raced. He had taught hundreds of cadets, including humans, but none had moved like this. She was extraordinary. Her body, her reflexes, her calm confidence, it all came from real experience. She had lived through conditions that no other cadet had ever faced. When the simulation ended, Lisa was calm. Most other cadets were exhausted, trembling, or marked as incapacitated. Koro was pale, staring at her. Alan stepped forward. "Lisa, your actions today surpass anything I have seen in this academy. How did you gain such instincts?" Lisa's eyes met his. "I learned from real predators on my home planet. I survived storms, hunger, poisonous air, extreme gravity, and creatures far stronger than humans. The simulations are only lessons. The real world was harsher. That is why I move this way. That is why humans can survive in conditions you think impossible." The hall grew silent. Alien cadets whispered nervously, some staring in disbelief. Koro clenched his fists. He realized he had underestimated her. He had thought humans were weak, but this cadet had just proven otherwise. Alan nodded slowly. "It seems I have underestimated humans in my teachings. You have survived conditions far beyond what we assumed. Your skills, instinct, and adaptability are remarkable. The cadets should learn from you, Lisa." Lisa did not respond with pride. She had no need. Her actions had already spoken. But inside, she knew the moment was coming when the cadets would fully understand the truth. Humans were not just clever, they were survivors, shaped by the deadliest worlds in the galaxy. Alan decided to escalate the test. He activated the next simulation, a volcanic wasteland. Lava rivers flowed, clouds of toxic gas filled the air, and predators with thick armored hides hunted relentlessly. The temperature soared, making most cadets uncomfortable. Many hesitated, unsure how to move without being marked incapacitated. Lisa advanced carefully. The heat pressed down on her body, but she adjusted her movements, using rocks and shadows to shield herself. She observed predators, calculating their paths, predicting their attacks. When one lunged at her, she rolled under a fallen cliff edge, striking it with a controlled push that sent it tumbling into lava. Alan watched in astonishment. Observe how Lisa uses strength, precision, and knowledge. She does not panic. She controls the environment instead of reacting to it. The alien cadets whispered, "She's incredible. How can a human do this?" Another said, "I thought humans were weak. I was wrong." Koro, humiliated, muttered, "It's just a simulation." "She's lucky." But even he could not deny what he had seen. The human had predicted every move, adapted to every hazard, and used the environment as if it were part of her body. Alan stepped forward. "Lisa, you have proven that humans are not fragile. Some of them have survived worlds designed to kill. Some have instincts, reflexes, and endurance beyond what we imagined. Your example will change how we teach and view humans in the future." Lisa nodded quietly. She had no need to boast. Her experiences spoke louder than words. She thought of her home planet, the creatures that had hunted her, the storms she had endured, and the hunger that had sharpened her senses. All of it had led her to this moment. The cadets were still watching her in awe. Alan turned to the room. "Cadets, take note. Underestimating a species can be fatal. Humans may appear weak, but some are shaped by the deadliest conditions. Strength is not only physical, it is instinct, endurance, intelligence, and experience. Lisa Morris has demonstrated this today." Caro could no longer hold his pride. He looked at Lisa, struggling to find words. Finally, he muttered, I did not know humans could be like this." Lisa looked at him calmly. "Many species underestimate humans. That is their first mistake. Those who do not respect humans often do not survive to regret it." The hall was silent. The alien cadets realized that their assumptions about humans had been wrong. They had laughed at the species they thought was fragile. They had doubted her. And now, they were witnessing proof that humans could survive what they had considered impossible. Alan spoke again. "Lisa, I want you to lead a demonstration tomorrow. Show the cadets how humans adapt to extreme environments. Not through luck, not through technology, but through instinct, endurance, and observation. They need to understand this firsthand." Lisa nodded. She knew the demonstration would be the moment of revelation. The moment when cadets would finally see the truth. Humans were more than clever observers. Humans were survivors, shaped by deathworlds and capable of feats no one could imagine. As the session ended, cadets filed out, still whispering. Coro followed, his expression dark, still humiliated but beginning to understand. Alan lingered, watching Lisa leave. He knew the Academy's understanding of humans would change after today. He had underestimated them for too long. Lisa stepped into the Academy corridor. The sun of the planet's sky reflected off her calm face. She thought of her home world, of the predators, the storms, and the endless challenges she had survived. She smiled faintly. Soon, everyone would know what humans were capable of. Soon, they would understand that the quiet species among them had endured the deadliest trials in the galaxy, and she would be the one to show them. The next day, the Academy Hall was crowded. Every cadet wanted to see the human cadet, Lisa Morris, demonstrate her abilities. Rumors had spread quickly. Aliens whispered in corners, some doubting, some anxious, some curious. Coro sat in the front, trying to hide his nervousness, though his eyes kept following Lisa. Alan Brooks stepped forward. "Cadets, today, you will witness something important. Lisa Morris has survived extreme environments, not by luck, not by technology, but through instinct, training, and natural adaptation. Today, she will show you what humans can do when they are faced with the deadliest conditions. Watch carefully and learn." Lisa walked to the center of the hall. Her eyes scanned the cadets and the training area. She moved calmly, confidently, like she belonged in this dangerous world. Her expression did not change. She did not need to speak loudly. Her presence was enough to command attention. Alan activated the first simulation. A massive death world appeared around them. Gravity was heavy, the air thick with toxins, and the predators were faster and more cunning than any cadet had faced before. The environment was chaotic, with storms, rivers of acid, and jagged cliffs. Most cadets gasped at the display. Lisa stepped forward, moving naturally. She crouched, rolled, and leaped with precision. Every movement was fluid and deliberate. She dodged attacks, balanced on narrow ridges, and adjusted her body to the terrain instinctively. When predators lunged, she anticipated their path and moved before they struck. Alan watched, amazed. He realized that what he had taught about humans being fragile was wrong. Lisa was not just surviving, she was dominating the environment. Every instinct, every reflex, every calculation had been honed by real Deathworld experience. Alien cadets whispered. "She's a predator herself," one said. Another added, "No human should move like that, it's impossible." Koro clenched his fists. He could no longer deny it. This human was different. She was a true survivor, shaped by the deadliest conditions. Lisa reached the center of the simulation. A massive predator, larger than a transport ship, lunged at her. Without hesitation, she dodged, rolled under its claws, and struck a precise blow that sent it staggering. Her movements were strong, fast, and controlled. It was clear she was not reacting, she was predicting. Alan spoke over the speakers. "Notice how Lisa uses her environment. She does not panic. She adapts. She survives. This is what it means to endure Deathworld conditions." Lisa continued moving through the simulation, facing stronger predators, harsher storms, and shifting terrain. Every obstacle was handled with calm precision. Alien cadets watched, wide-eyed. Some whispered nervously. Koro looked on, pale with disbelief. Finally, Lisa stopped at the top of a cliff overlooking a holographic lava river. She turned to the cadets. "You have seen simulations," she said quietly, "but the truth is, humans have survived worse. We have faced predators far stronger than this, storms far harsher, gravity far heavier, and air far more toxic. We endure, we adapt, we survive. That is what humans are." The room fell silent. Alien cadets stared at her. Alan felt a chill. He realized he had underestimated humans for too long. They were not just observers of the galaxy, they were survivors, shaped by worlds designed to kill most other species. Koro finally spoke, voice trembling. How can a human do all that? It's impossible." Lisa looked at him calmly. "It is only impossible if you have never lived it. Humans like me are not born weak. We are born to survive. Our bodies, our minds, our instincts, they are trained from the moment we are born to endure the deadliest conditions. You have underestimated humans for too long." Alan stepped forward. "Cadets, take note. This demonstration is not about luck or training alone. Humans are capable of surviving where others would die. They are intelligent, yes, but also instinctive, resilient, and adaptable. Lisa Morris has shown you the full measure of what one human can endure." The cadets were stunned. Many of them looked at Lisa with awe. Some whispered to each other. Carl sat frozen, unsure what to say. He realized he had been wrong and that humans were far more powerful than he had imagined. Lisa took a deep breath. She had more to reveal. Slowly, she removed her academy jacket, revealing scars, muscle tone, and the signs of someone who had survived countless dangers. "These are not marks of weakness," she said. "They are proof of survival. Every scar is a lesson. Every wound is a story. Humans are not soft or fragile. We are shaped by the deadliest worlds in the galaxy. That is what makes us strong." The cadets were silent. Alien eyes widened. They had never seen a human like this. Alan felt a deep respect growing. He realized that his lectures had underestimated the species he taught about for decades. Lisa continued, "You have learned about Deathworld beasts. You have studied how species survive extreme conditions, but you have not studied humans like me. We endure, we adapt, we face danger that would destroy most species, and we survive. That is why you should never underestimate humans. That is why the quiet species in the galaxy is often the most dangerous." The hall remained silent. The alien cadets were shaken. They had assumed humans were weak observers, clever but fragile. They had laughed, they had doubted, and now they were witnessing proof that humans could survive, adapt, and dominate environments they thought impossible. Alan stepped forward again. "Lisa, your demonstration has changed everything. Humans will be studied differently from now on. We will no longer underestimate them. You have shown what intelligence, instinct, and resilience can achieve when combined with experience in the harshest environments. You have taught a lesson we will never forget." Lisa nodded quietly. She did not need applause. Her actions spoke louder than words. The cadets were beginning to understand. Some of them were scared, some were impressed, and some were in awe. Even Koro, who had doubted her the most, could not hide his respect. Lisa walked slowly through the hall, looking at each cadet. "You will remember this day," she said softly. "Remember that appearances can be deceiving. Never underestimate a species. Never assume weakness. Humans survive where others fail. That is our nature. That is what makes us strong." A few cadets began to whisper, realizing the truth. "Humans, they are not weak." Another said, "They can survive anything. I have underestimated them." Koro finally spoke, voice low and respectful. "I underestimated you. I see now." "Humans are stronger than I thought." Lisa smiled slightly. "It is not about strength alone. It is about endurance, instinct, and the will to survive. You will see more in time. Humans are capable of more than anyone here can imagine." Alan watched, a deep respect in his eyes. He had taught about Deathworlds for decades, but he had never fully understood the humans who had survived them. Lisa Morris had proven that humans were not just clever. They were survivors, shaped by the deadliest worlds, capable of endurance and adaptability beyond what most species could imagine. The demonstration ended, but the lesson lingered. Alien cadets walked out of the hall, whispering, talking, and speculating. Many had a new understanding of humans. They realized that the quiet species among them was far more capable than they had assumed. Lisa stood quietly at the exit, looking out at the sunlit academy grounds. She thought of her home planet, the predators she had faced, the storms she had endured, and the dangers she had survived. She knew the cadets would remember today. She knew the galaxy would begin to see humans differently. Alan approached her. "Lisa, you have done more than survive a simulation. You have changed how humans are viewed. You have earned respect for your species and for yourself." "Thank you," Lisa nodded. "It is not about thanks, it is about truth. Humans survive, we endure, we adapt. And that is a lesson everyone should learn." The cadets began filing past her. They stared in awe, some whispering quietly, some shaking their heads in disbelief. They had witnessed a human endure conditions that would have destroyed most species. They had seen the scars, the precision, the calm, the confidence. They had seen the full truth. Koro lingered behind. I see it now. Humans, they are not what we thought." Lisa smiled slightly. "No, we are not. Never forget it." Alan watched as she walked away. He knew that the academy would never be the same. Humans would be studied differently. They would be respected. And cadets would approach survival training with a new understanding of what a single human could endure. The sun set outside the academy, casting long shadows across the training grounds. Lisa looked up, thinking of the galaxies, the worlds, the dangers, and the challenges she had faced and survived. She had proven the truth. Humans were not just observers. Humans were survivors. Humans could endure what no one else could. And the galaxy would remember that lesson forever.